They thought the tattoos were just decoration, until the old man rolled up his sleeve, and the entire room fell silent, and when the young SEAL mocked him for it, nobody expected the truth. That followed. The confrontation began faster than anyone could take a breath. One moment the old man sat quietly in the corner of the military gym, sipping lukewarm coffee from a battered steel mug, and the next, a young Navy SEAL recruit stood in front of him, arms crossed, eyes narrowed at the swirling ink covering the man's skin. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The gym smelled of sweat, rubber mats, and the metallic bite of weight plates being dropped. Afternoon sunlight leaked through the high windows in streaks, catching dust particles floating like slow-motion sparks. Training had wrapped an hour ago, but the tension inside hadn't faded. Not today. Because today, the old man had shown up again. Most of the recruits didn't know him. They just whispered rumors, retired something, used to run missions, keeps to himself, walks like someone who sees more than he says, but they didn't know the truth. And that ignorance was exactly what led to the moment unfolding now. The young SEAL, Lewis, stepped closer. He was confident, no, overconfident, the way new soldiers often were when they believed hardship came from movies, and not from life tearing pieces out of you. His voice carried through the quiet room. So tell me, old man, Lewis said, chin raised, why so many tattoos? Trying to look tough, or trying to remember something? A few nearby recruits stopped mid-conversation. Someone dropped a kettlebell, the thud echoing like a warning. Even the ceiling fans seemed to slow, as if the air itself knew something was about to break open. The old man didn't look up at first. He just set his coffee down gently, like he was steadying his hands not out of fear, but out of choice. His eyes were gray, sharpened by years rather than dulled by them. That he finally spoke. You ever ask a question you weren't ready to hear the answer to, son? Lewis smirked. Try me. The old man pulled back his sleeve, and that's when the room shifted, not physically, but emotionally. Like every molecule suddenly knew it needed to pay attention. The ink wasn't just art. It wasn't just color. Each tattoo was layered with dates, coordinates, symbols. Some curved like waves, some shaped like dagger tips. Some faded as though time itself had tried to erase them. Lewis squinted. Looks like a scrapbook. No, the old man said. Looks like a life. Someone near the free weights whispered. Is he military? Another answered. I think he was something more. Lewis crossed his arms tighter, trying to hold onto his ego. If those marks mean so much, tell us. Which one's your favorite? The shark, the compass, the numbers. The old man didn't smile. Instead, he touched one tattoo near his wrist. A small, almost unnoticeable set of numbers. This one, he said softly. The gym quieted even more. Even Lewis felt the weight shift. What's it mean? He asked. The old man inhaled slowly, as if pulling air all the way from a memory he had buried deep, far deeper than young minds ever imagined needing to dig. It's the date my team didn't come home, he said, and the coordinates of where I last saw them alive. Lewis's face changed. The smugness cracked. A flicker of doubt, maybe even regret, crossed his eyes. But the old man wasn't done. They were my brothers, he continued. We weren't born family, but we chose each other. And choices like that, they don't fade. He tapped the tattoo again. So I carry them, because somebody has to. A few recruits looked away, suddenly feeling the burn of shame in their throats. Others stepped closer, drawn by something ancient. Respect, sorrow, curiosity, all mixed into a single silent pull. But Lewis stood frozen. The old man pushed his sleeve higher, revealing another mark. A jagged band of ink, sharp and dark. This one, he said, is for the man I couldn't save. A murmur rippled across the room. Someone muttered, damn, he was trapped. The old man continued. Burning vehicle, ammunition inside. I tried to drag him out. I got this scar for my trouble. He rolled up the sleeve further, revealing a long white scar beneath the ink, running like a lightning bolt across his forearm. The room held its breath. Lewis swallowed. Hard. But the old man wasn't angry. His voice carried no threat, no bitterness. Just an unbearable truth that weighed on everyone listening. You look at tattoos and think they're a show, he said quietly. But every one of these marks came with a cost, a memory, a moment. He looked Louis straight in the eyes. Have you earned any marks yet, son? The question hit harder than a punch. Louis's forehead collapsed. His confidence wasn't just shaken, it was shattered. He stepped back, unable to hold the old man's gaze for a moment. The silence felt like a ceremony. Then the old man spoke again, but softer. You want to judge a man? Don't look at his skin. Look at his choices. Louis opened his mouth, maybe to apologize, maybe to explain himself, but before he could speak, the heavy gym doors swung open. Commander Briggs entered. Every recruit straightened instantly. Briggs was known for his discipline, his sharp tone, his zero tolerance for disrespect. His eyes moved across the room, picking up the tension like a scent. Then he saw the old man, and his entire expression changed. His posture softened. He walked straight toward him. Sir, Briggs said quietly, I didn't know you were coming today. The recruits blinked. Sir, the old man nodded, just checking on the next generation. Briggs turned to the recruits. Listen up. If any of you don't know who this man is, you should. Louis's jaw tightened. Some recruits leaned forward. The old man looked uncomfortable, like he preferred the shadows over spotlights. This, Briggs continued, is Master Chief Dalton Rowe. Decorated multiple times. Ran missions most of you will only read about. The man's practically a ghost story in half the world. The recruits stared at the old man like they were seeing him for the first time. Louis looked like he wanted to melt through the floor. Dalton sighed. You didn't have to say all that. Briggs ignored him. And every tattoo on that man is a chapter of history. A price paid. A life lived for others. A slow realization spread through the room. Not admiration. Not awe. Respect. Dalton stood, picked up his old steel mug, and started toward the exit. But he paused beside Louis, who still couldn't lift his eyes. Dalton placed a hand on his shoulder. Son, he said gently, you've got potential, but don't waste it trying to act bigger than the people you should be learning from. Louis nodded, eyes glassy. I'm sorry, he whispered. Dalton gave a small nod, not of forgiveness, but of understanding. Then he walked out. The gym remained silent until the doors closed behind him. Only then did Briggs speak. Let today be a lesson. Respect isn't earned by shouting, or flexing, or mocking someone you don't understand. His gaze hardened. Respect is earned by walking through fire and coming out carrying the people who didn't make it. No one dared speak, not for several long seconds. Finally, Louis let out a breath. I had no idea, he whispered. One of the recruits put a hand on his shoulder. None of us did, but now we do. They all felt it, a shift, a quiet transformation. Not fear, not guilt. Perspective. Because some lessons don't come from books or drills or barked commands. Some lessons arrive in the form of a quiet old man with tired eyes and a lifetime of stories written on his skin. Because true courage doesn't brag, it bleeds, it heals, and it remembers. And sometimes the loudest truth in the room comes from the man who speaks the least. If you enjoyed this story, tell me in the comments what part hit you the hardest. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful, human stories like this one.